Remember how my Jeep Compass was burning oil in the number 4 cylinder? I thought a piston soak might fix it, but yeah, nope. So now I'm still searching for the answer to it all at the bottom of a bottle. Well, not the bottom of that bottle. That's for different problems. Now I'm trying a bottle of LIQUI MOLY Motor Oil Saver. Come with me while I continue to try to unfuck my Jeep's engine while praying to the gods of cheap bastard quick fixes.
Doing the daily.
Hey everybody, I'm back working on the 2017 Jeep Compass. That is my daily driver. One of the last videos, I've got a problem with a misfire on cylinder number 4. It looks like I'm burning oil in that cylinder and I'm not sure why. I did a Berryman's B12 piston soak and that didn't seem to change anything. If you're familiar with internal combustion engines, you may know that sometimes you can burn oil due to your valve stem seals allowing oil to drop down into the cylinder. So I definitely am not at the point to where I'm taking this thing to a professional mechanic. Not yet anyways. And I figured after the Berryman's, okay, well maybe my valve stem seals are leaky and, causing the oil to be burnt. So without just replacing them, I found a product online called LIQUI MOLY Motor Oil Saver. What this says it does on the tin is that it rejuvenates all of your seals in your engine. Over time they can get hard and brittle and then sealing capabilities just aren't there. Well, this is supposed to fix that. We're gonna give it a try. I can't remember how much it was. I think it was less than 15 bucks for this. It's made in Germany, so hopefully it's good. Essentially you add it to the engine. It said the product can be added at any time. Sealing first takes effect after about 600 to 800 kilometers, because it's made in Germany, so that's why the kilometers. That's actually 400 to 500 miles. We're going to put this in, drive it around for about 500 miles, and see if the condition improves. Unlike the Berryman's B12 piston soak, adding this is super easy. Just pour it straight down into the oil filler hole. So here's what I think is happening. In the head of an engine, there are several valves per cylinder. Those valves have a stem that run through the head and are sealed with valve stem seals. The job of the valve stem seals is to allow only enough oil to get to the valve stem to keep it lubricated as it moves up and down. What can happen over time is these seals get hard and they don't seal as good anymore. And when that happens, oil seeps past them down into the combustion chamber and then is burnt. The LIQUI MOLY is supposed to maintain and restore these seals so they can do their intended job again. Okay, so that bottle of LIQUI MOLY Motor Oil Saver is now in the engine, and we'll go ahead and set one of the trip odometers, and we'll see what happens in 400 to 500 miles. So keep watching. Things were going pretty well until about the 320 mile mark. I was coming home from work and the Jeep started running really, really rough. This time the check engine light just wouldn't come on like it had in the past. No, this time the dash would chime and the check engine light would flash. So here I am, taking the spark plug out to check it out. If you remember, when I pulled the plug after doing the Berryman's piston soak, it looked wet and sooty. Now after 300 miles with the oil saver, it's still sooty, but it's no longer wet. So maybe this oil saver is actually starting to work. Maybe. I mean, look at it. It still doesn't look good for the age of it, but it doesn't look as bad as it normally does. I don't know if it's because it's still new, or if the oil saver is working and oil isn't getting dumped into the cylinder. I also put the bore scope into the cylinder to check out what I could see.
The piston looked to be at the top of its stroke, and it does look crusty, but I don't know if there's any oil in there. Maybe this oil saver really is starting to work. Anyway, I decided to run to the auto parts store and get a new plug and put it in there. I adjusted it to the proper gap and then installed it. And for shits and giggles, I decided to swap the coils, moving the number 3 to the number 4 and vice versa. I've done this before when I started having issues with cylinder 4, but I figured I'd do it again, just to be on the safe side to make sure there wasn't an issue with the coil that suddenly became apparent. Oh, I also decided to check the oil as long as I'm here. It looks to be about the same level as when I checked it a few days ago. That's a good thing.
I got the new spark plug in there, and within 5 minutes it threw the exact same code. I don't think the oil fouling the spark plug is the main issue, and that there's something else going on.
So let's go over it. New plug installed, and there's no change whatsoever. I changed the coil between number 3 and number 4, and it's still showing number 4 is the one misfiring. That rules out the coil. You know, sometimes you just have to know when to stop. I've now decided to get it looked at professionally so we can really see what's going on. I called one shop, and after explaining the symptoms over the phone, the mechanic simply said, "Yeah, I can tell you that the only thing that's going to fix that is a full engine rebuild." I wasn't sure what to make of that severe diagnosis over the phone. Maybe they just wanted to give me the worst case scenario. I decided to make an appointment at a different service shop to get it actually looked at, and that's where I'm headed to now.
And as you can see, I'm in my business casual attire because it's a work day. I use this car to get to and from work, and I need it to be working. So now that I've reached this point, I am taking it to a professional to be looked at and diagnosed, and hopefully they can see what's going on and let me know. Fingers crossed that it's not going to be too expensive, but we'll just have to see. Time will tell.
After they had the Jeep for a couple days, they called with bad news. Alright, I heard back from the mechanic shop. They did their diagnostic on the Jeep Compass, and here's what the results are. Performed compression leak down test on cylinder number 4. It was at 85%. Looked in cylinder with bore scope and found burnt exhaust valves. Burnt exhaust valves. Need to remove cylinder head and resurface or replace and perform valve job. Exhaust manifold leaking. Could see black residue from the leak. Need to replace, and it's part of the catalytic converter assembly. So to do both those jobs, to rebuild the head or get a new head and to replace the exhaust manifold, they quoted me almost $9,000. So that's a lot of money. That's more than half of what I paid for the entire vehicle. At this point, I don't know what I'm gonna do.